And on the very same day that Trump lowered the boom on Britain, he took direct aim at one of the oldest financial instruments of British imperial power. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a shipping lane, it's the jugular of the global energy economy. And Lloyd's of London has been the gatekeeper for 3 centuries, deciding who gets coverage and who gets shut out.
Hello, and welcome back to our channel. In this video, Susan Kokinda from Promethean Updates breaks down President Trump's strategy for the Strait of Hormuz and the major changes underway from his decisive intervention. We are also going to introduce a principle of contextual mastery that is essential in the current geopolitical climate. Before we get into the details, please like, share, subscribe, and be sure to leave us a comment.
Windmills, immigration, those aren't military complaints. That is a systemic indictment of the British model. Green energy deindustrialization is the pet project of the British royal family. King Charles has made it his personal mission, including through Lloyd's, as we'll get to.
What they're doing with energy and what they're doing with immigration is horrible. You have the North Sea. Somebody said yesterday, what would you do if you were the UK? Open up the North Sea. They got windmills all over the place that are ruining the country, ruining the landscapes, ruining the beautiful fields. Open up the North Sea. And number 2, illegal immigration. They got to solve that problem.
And unfettered mass immigration is a frontal assault on the coherence of society itself, and Donald Trump has rejected both. Now, look who was sitting next to Donald Trump at that press availability, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, who backed the U.S. position on Iran, and who recently stated that shutting down Germany's nuclear power plants was a catastrophic mistake. Merz is signaling that Germany wants to exit the managed energy decline that the British imperial system has imposed on Europe. So for the first time since World War II, an American president is treating Germany as a more reliable partner than Britain, not out of sentiment, but because Britain remains committed to the imperial system which Trump is dismantling, while Germany, under Merz, is signaling it wants out. Now, Spain does get a footnote. Trump told Treasury Secretary Bessent to cut off all trade with Madrid for refusing base access and dodging NATO commitments. Donald Trump is not fooling around. So the U.S.-British conflict that we've been exposing for decades is now playing out in the open, from the Oval Office to the Strait of Hormuz. That Trump lowered the boom on Britain, he took direct aim at one of the oldest financial instruments of British imperial power. On Monday, March 2nd, leading ship insurers, including Lloyd's of London, announced they were canceling war risk coverage for the Strait of Hormuz and adjacent waters. 1/3 of the world's oil flows through that strait. Without insurance, no tanker moves. Without tankers, the global economy starts to tremble. The Strait of Hormuz isn't just a shipping lane, it's the jugular of the global energy economy. And Lloyd's of London has been the gatekeeper for 3 centuries, deciding who gets coverage and who gets shut out. Now, don't take my word for it, take theirs. When King George V laid the foundation stone of the Lloyd's building back in 1925, he called it the embodiment of the highest qualities of British commerce. And he said that Lloyd's services, quote, all maritime peoples who are in peace and amity with the British Empire. In peace and amity with the British Empire. Did you catch that? In other words, you get coverage if the Crown approves of you, and suddenly Lloyd's is pulling insurance from a war zone. That doesn't look like risk management. That looks like a weapon. And Lloyd's continues to flaunt its ties to the royals, dedicating a whole section of its website to royal moments. Not only that, Lloyd's has been the enforcer of the green agenda. In 2021, then Prince Charles showed up at Lloyd's to launch his Sustainable Markets Initiative Insurance Task Force, his vehicle for using the global insurance market to enforce the climate agenda on every nation on Earth. The same green agenda that Trump has been systematically dismantling. So when Lloyd's pulls war risk management on the Strait of Hormuz, that is not a neutral actuarial decision. That is the Crown's financial instrument deciding who gets to move energy through the world's most critical choke point. Donald Trump broke that control yesterday when the president announced that the United States Development Finance Corporation would provide political risk insurance at very reasonable prices for all ships traveling through the Gulf, and that the Navy would escort tankers if needed.
President Trump once again exercised the master chess player strategy by directing the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation to provide maritime reinsurance at a very reasonable price. This came right after Lloyd's of London and other major insurance companies decided to cancel or pull back shipping insurance, which would have wrecked oil and other shipping companies coming through the Strait of Hormuz because of the conflict with Iran. President Trump made a stunning geopolitical and economic move that surprised everyone. It stands to safeguard global energy markets and keep essential trade moving. It is very important for leaders to be able to assess what is going on and to envision what the impact would be, whether good or bad, so they can make decisions that limit or prevent bad outcomes. Wise strategic leaders understand the times we are in and know what to do as a result. That is contextual mastery in action, reading the situation clearly, foreseeing the real consequences, and stepping in with the precise, effective move at the right time. There seem to be leaders around who are bent on making as much as they can from a crisis, instead of finding ways to make things better for their nation and the rest of the world. We need leaders who are willing to step forward and fill the void that bad leaders have left, so that the world does not have to be held at ransom because of evil or terrible decisions. Be the leader who is willing to make changes that are good, right, and just. In this moment in history, we see exactly why contextual mastery matters so much. Leaders who truly understand these dangerous times read the risk right. The insurance black hole, the skyrocketing threats to oil and trade, and know what to do. They step in boldly, as President Trump did here, anticipating the fallout and acting decisively to restore stability and protect the free flow of energy for everyone, not just let the bad actors hold the world hostage. Be the kind of leader now, in this crisis and the ones coming. Master the context, see the real stakes, and make the moves that keeps things from falling apart. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.